Trump saved my life, literally. My dad and my mom passed at the same time. I was in a bad place. I was going towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Don't ask me why, but I was. Donald Trump was standing on 97th Street in Broadway. He was at a friend's birthday party. And when he saw me coming past, I was hysterical in tears. And he gently grabbed my arm. He was like, whoa, wait a minute, are you okay? And he said, well, I don't know what you're gonna do right now, but whatever it is, forget about it. Take it out of your head. Your mom and dad wouldn't want that. And he talked to me till I forgot all about what I was gonna do. So he said, let me pray for you. So when I went to get my keys out of my pocket, and I opened my hand, he had placed a folded up, real small, folded up $100 bill in my hand. I framed it, literally, and this is a true story. He saved my life. Yeah, he did. So anybody that has anything bad to say about Trump, did it, because he's a good man.
Be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
What's up, everybody? It is Saturday, our Saturday Night Live, and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hello.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Again, this is our Saturday Night Live, folks. So as you guys come in, please tap that thumbs up. It really helps to get our broadcast out to a larger audience, and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out all of our super chats. So it's the best way to get your voice heard and to push it back against the mainstream media that wishes we didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. How are you all doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I actually just came back in the house, so I can be here on time, and I'm ready to go. I'm a little tired, had a good day, busy day, but it was good. Good. All right. How about you, Nicole?
It's the boot for me. It's this broken toe is ruining my spring.
Oh, you're in the boot now.
I'm in the boot until hopefully Wednesday, fingers crossed, because I want a nice Memorial Day. I don't want to have to be dragging the boot with me all over the place.
Wow. All right. Well, we hope so too. Hopefully you're out and you can move and groove like you generally do.
I've been home more in the last week than I have been in probably 4 years.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh.
it slowed me down.
Oh, well, you know what though? Sometimes it's good to take a break, because you do go a lot.
I like running,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. You're right. Well, you guys saw that clip in the beginning, and I thought that was a really nice, very nice clip. And I think it's been around for a while, but we do not see or hear these stories of President Trump and him just being a really nice guy. We don't hear enough of this in the media. What are your thoughts on that, Shelley, that clip that played?
Well, I mean, again, Trump is a human being like any of us, right? He has flaws, he has good, he has bad, but we don't hear the good because the media are on an agenda with the Democratic Party to make him be this evil Satan, whatever, orange man bad, no matter what he does. This woman, she said he saved her life. She was about to, I guess, jump over the Brooklyn Bridge, and here along comes President Trump. That's a good thing. That's a nice gesture. He gave her some money. She framed it. We need to hear more stories like this because people's minds, a lot of people's minds are just, Trump is just, he personifies evil, which he does not. Does that mean he's perfect? Show me one human being that is. Show me one human being that's perfect, and I will shut my mouth. Okay? I know you won't do it. I know you can't do it. It will never be done. But President Trump has done a whole lot of good in his life as well.
Yeah, and it's generally the media that is leading the charge of demonizing President Trump. We've talked about this many times on the show, Nicole, how the media will choose to show like 90% negative coverage of President Trump, and it's very unbalanced. What are your thoughts on that video and how the media choose to portray him?
They look at him as if they can say something to hurt this man. If Trump has proven nothing to us, that he's Teflon. They came after his money, they came after his family, and in the midst of protecting himself, he found the time to be good to other people. If that's not how blessed people move, I don't know what is. He did the same thing for Jennifer Hudson after her family was murdered. He moved her to the top of Trump Tower, 24-hour wraparound security. He did the same thing for she used to be on the show with Regis, Kathy Lee and her family. Frank Gifford is a friend of his. Yes. He has a long track record of standing in the gap for people who need it, whether he knows them or not. Clearly, this is not someone who travels in his social circles, and $100 to him is like $1.50 to me and you. But for him to fold it up and give her what I call the grandma handshake, when your grandma slides you a $10 bill, your parents don't know about. For him to do that, trying not to embarrass her, praying for her, that just speaks so much of his character while everyone else seemingly in the world is coming after him. So I think he's walking in his blessing. He's walking in God's favor, and the media is off step as per usual.
Absolutely. Speaking of favor, I got to acknowledge you, super chats, folks. Thank you all so much. We certainly appreciate you. All right, let's see here. We have John Lemons with the $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And again, please, guys, as you guys come in, hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to a broader audience. So we want to get this video out to as many people as possible can see it, and subscribe, folks. We are very close to hitting 170,000 subscribers.
Let's do it tonight.
Let's do it tonight. You guys are awesome. We are building a community of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people here, and we need your help. So please hit that subscribe button so we can get to 170,000 subscribers tonight.
That's right. You all on this chat, on the in our comments, send the text to your family, send them the link, just tell them subscribe. They will subscribe to you. I'm sure, like people I know, they'll subscribe to a lot of foolishness. So tell them to subscribe to this tonight, okay? Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. That's number one. Nicole, I wanted to pick up on something you said about President Trump. Not only did they come for his family and his reputation, they came for his life, okay?
Yeah, they did.
They tried to come for his life. And this man has come through by the grace of God. That's another thing. Another thing is that over the years, I've heard stories of President Trump knowing the people, the people in his building, the workers there, from some of the maid service or the bellmen or whatever, the doormen. I've heard people saying that he knew their names. I mean, literally, I heard a story again. I don't remember. I just heard it. That one man that worked for him, I think he was a doorman or something. President Trump knew either his daughter's birthday or something like that. Somebody in a family member that he remembered it was a celebration for that man's family. So these are stories that we don't hear. We should hear, and we need to push back. That's why we're here. So we can push back and balance out, like KJ said, balance out all these stories. Will we hear bad? Absolutely. But we're going to hear the good too. And that's what we're here for. Hit the subscribe button. Share the link. Share it everywhere, anywhere. I don't care if they like you or not. Just send it to them.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and we're thankful for you all. I just was sharing with the ladies. I was at a place here in Maryland. Want to give a big shout out to Natalie's Seafood Kitchen in Harford County, Maryland. Very good food, great atmosphere, live music. just good Americans out having a good time. And I ran into a fan of the show, which was amazing. He loves each and every one of us. I forgot his name, but we have a picture of him. This is the gentleman I ran into tonight. Yes, at dinner. Really nice guy. He and his wife were there, and we just had a great conversation. So I want to shout him out. Thank you guys so much for watching and just for riding with us, for supporting this channel. Absolutely. We are all in this together. So really want to say thank you and want to shout him out for that. All right. So here we are. So and then we have who's that? Okay, that is a new member, John Lemons, joined our Freedom Seekers Club.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And folks, that is our Freedom Seekers Club. So you can join. It's a great way to support the channel. And then also it's a great way to, you get perks and things like that when you join, so become a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. All right. So we got to get down into this. So it's been a great 24. Well, I won't say great. I'll say it's been an exciting 24, 48 hours. And starting with this Robert Hur audio interview. So it is out, and folks, it is damning. Forget the talking points. This is raw, unfiltered, and undeniable. Biden under oath, sounding like a man lost in time. And Democrats are scrambling to cover it up. Why is the DOJ treating him with kid gloves? Why did Robert Hur say what he said in the video? Because it was true. He was telling the truth, and the Democrats and the media, try to cover it up. So we have it here. Want to take a look here. This is clip 2.
So during this time, we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer for your shot or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except the president. They're not a mean thing to say. I mean, he just thought that she had a better shot of winning the presidency than I did. And so I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I might run for office again. If I ran again, I'd be running for president. And so what was happening though, what month did Bo die? May 30th, 2015. Was it 2015 he died? 2015. I think it's 2015.
We're not much of a month or I think that was.
Yeah.
That's right, Mr. President.
And what's happened in the meantime.
So let's stop it right there. So just want to break down what we're hearing here. So right there, he was struggling to recall when his son, Bo, died. As you can see, he's initially placing Bo's passing between 2017 and 2018 before his staff corrected him that it was actually May 30th of 2015. So ladies, what are you thinking so far? I want to start with you, Nicole.
You know, I lost my father to Alzheimer's, right, and dementia. It's devastating because they are kind of locked in their own minds a little bit. And that's what this sounds like to me. I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying, from somebody who's lived that experience, he sounds like, if they would have told him, no, it was 2020, he'd be like, oh yeah, it was 2020. Like they're implanting memories where there are none. And you have to be very, very careful for people who have this particular set of disorders, because you can implant false memories. And I think that's what his team was kind of feeding him the dates, kind of pushing him along. It is just so sad. In any other setting, this would be elder abuse. In any other setting, this would be elder abuse. And I feel so sorry for him as a human being, that his lust for power, his lust for fame, well outweighed his lust to have a good life, to have his golden days actually be golden instead of being tarnished, becoming the worst president in American history. And it took a lot of doing to outdo Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah. This is sad, is it not, Shelley?
It is sad. I mean, because we've all seen family members, friends, people like that go through this terrible disease. I mean, just think of it. You know, the person that you know for however long, that's really not the person there anymore. They're in their own world, usually in some historical time period where they really kind of lie, if you will. But that's not really the person. They're there in body, but that's not them in their mind. Exactly. So that's number one. It is sad because he might have been powerful in his lust for power, but the people around him, their lust for power outweighed even his well-being. Their lust, he was their meal ticket, literally. Okay. Sure. He provided all of the different pathways and avenues and networking that enriched their lives and enriched their pockets, however scamming it may have been. You talk about scamdemic. This was an ongoing scamdemic using Joe Biden. Now, having said that, I do not take away the blame, if you will, or the accountability for him, the things he's done up to that point. It's just sad that he really doesn't have a cognizant memory to Absolutely. Even, if you will, prosecute. I can understand why Robert Hur said basically it was pointless because, you know, he was a degenerate old man at that point, right? But the people around him, I hold them more responsible. These people have perpetrated a huge fraud on our country for at least 2 years, if not the whole 4.
Absolutely. I want to acknowledge our super chatters here, folks. Thank you so much. All right. That is, let's see here. Yes. Thank you so much, Tina Thacker, for your super sticker. We appreciate you. Job for 9 with the $10 super chat says, love the content. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, really appreciate you. Go ahead.
CT is here. The Chaotic Truth dropped in maybe about 3 or 4 minutes ago. It's so good to see you.
Yes. Yeah, we got to acknowledge him there. Thank you so much. Yes, Chaotic Truth from the Chaotic Truth Live. Yeah, yo.
Chaotic.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, Mark is
yes.
Mark.
Okay.
Hey, Mark Slater. What's
going on? Wow. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Mark, for the $20 super chat. Thank you. We really appreciate you. All right. Yeah. It's a shame. I want to go back into this just a little bit more here to go on a little further because this is just, we need everyone. Please share this video. We want everyone to see this because they lied. The Democrats, the media covered this up and lied and said this was not, he did fine on the audio. There was no need to show the audio. Let us hear it. They lied and covered it up, and we want people to see it. Take a look here.
And Trump gets elected in November of 2017, 2016.
Oh,
all right. So 2017.
That's when you left office in January.
Okay. But that's when Trump gets sworn in.
Right.
January.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And in 2017, Bo had passed, and
Mm.
The genesis of the book and the title Promise Me Dad was I know you're all close with your sons and daughters, but Bo was like my right arm, and that was my left. These guys were a year and a day apart, and they could finish each other's sentences. And Bo, I used to go home on the train, and
This is the president of the United States, folks. This was. This is. This was the president of the United States. Mark Slater with the $20 super chat says everyone in his cabinet needs to be charged with elder abuse.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I mean, again, these were long pauses. Again, the recording captures extended silences broken only by ticking a clock, underscoring his halting, soft-spoken answers on dates and details. Again, he got it mixed up when Bo died, when President Trump was first elected. This was the president of the United States making monumental decisions. I would go even so far to say that his presidency changed the course of our country in huge ways. I think maybe even worse than Obama's. Nicole, what are your thoughts there?
I agree. And you know, people have long held who was actually, running the nation, because he's clearly not capable.
No,
he's clearly not capable. But I go back to what I said earlier. People with this set of brain disorders are very, very easily influenced. You can plant a memory, you can plant a thought, you can say, like my dad smoked, kid you not, for 50 years. He was a diehard smoker. He didn't care about cancer. He started smoking when he was 7 and just kept smoking, right? So I told him one day, I said, Dad, you don't even smoke. What are you trying to do? And he was like, I don't smoke. I said, no, you've never smoked. He didn't smoke a cigarette after that. He was like, I don't smoke. And people are like, he's been smoking his whole life. But when their disease has progressed that far, you can implant a memory. So when you take a look at some of the things that Joe Biden says is his closely held beliefs, were they really his beliefs, or were they what Jill told him, or what his chief of staff said, or what the Secretary of Defense said? So all of his entire presidency is now incredibly suspect. We already knew that. Conservatives knew there was something wrong.
Absolutely. Look, I say that Biden's presidency was a continuation of the Obama agenda from 2008. Anyway, that's number one. Number two, when they tried to put up Hillary and James Comey did not prosecute her, this was all an ongoing thing. This is why I still say that President Trump's 2020 election was stolen. I still don't believe that Biden really won legitimately. This was a part of the agenda, and they wanted to keep it going. This was what the interview was 2023 with Robert Hur. So a whole year and a half, 2 years almost before the election, if you will, they knew this. Robert Hur came out, the media, ran cover and basically, again, wanted to knock down Robert Hur, right? This was all a facade. This was all a part of this agenda. From the time Trump came down that gold escalator to the Russiagate lies and, all of this, this was a part of that magnificent, significant, unfortunate, huge lie. This is what the agenda was. All a lie. This is what it was. And this is what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. We have super chatter here. Folks, thank you so much. All right, Larry with the $5 super chat says, love you gals. Keep talking the truth. It's a crazy world and crazy times. God bless. Absolutely. And, I thought I saw someone there. I think it was Allie who was talking about Jill Biden. I mean, she is evil. Jill, or I say Dr. Frankenstein, is the lowest of the low. While America watched Joe Biden deteriorate, She was behind the curtain, pulling the strings, propping him up like a Weekend at Bernie's puppet, except this isn't a comedy. It was awful. It was sad. It was disturbing. And for her to do that,
it was destructive to our nation. That's the most important part. I feel horrible for him as a human being, but as an American, I'm thankful to God that it ended in 4 years and there was not a re-election of Joe Biden campaign, right? What they did to this nation is treasonous, flat out. You think every year where he had his annual physical and the Surgeon General comes out and says, oh, he's, good. He got a little bit of the blood pressure. His cholesterol's a little high. So we're going to have the chef cut back on the shrimp and give him some more salads. Every year they lied, and not a little lie, a big lie.
Right.
Yeah. President Trump
was running circles around him. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
You're right. You're right, Nicole. Well, President Trump after this audio was exposed, he went rogue on Truth Social. I mean, he raged this morning he shredding the auto pen scandal that has rocked the previous administration, according to American Wire News. So he posted on there, whoever had control of the auto pen is looking to be a bigger and bigger scandal by the moment. It is a major part of the real crime that the presidential election of 2020 was rigged and stolen. Millions and millions of people knew that, but the radical left Democrats waged a campaign of inoculation and innocence like none that had never been waged before. He wrote, he continues, this is why the unselect committee of political thugs who were given a full and complete pardon by the person who wielded the now illegally used auto pen deleted and destroyed all evidence and information from the corrupt and vicious witch hunt against me and many other people whose lives were completely shattered and destroyed by those historically criminal events. He is right on, Shelley.
Absolutely, he's right on. Remember, they went after this man named Trump ferociously from the beginning. Remember, the New York Times posted those articles that came out even before he was inaugurated, that they wanted to take him down, that they were going to impeach him, they were going to allow him. All of this whole scam, this intricate scam that they perpetuated against this man, up to and including an assassination attempt 2 times, 2 impeachment trials, all this foolishness. And yet all the time, particularly these 4 years, they were covering, the same media were covering for Biden, his degeneration, this administration, his wife, if you will. And she goes on around, and just think, up until 2024, the summer of 2024, they were going to let him run.
Yes.
They were still going to let him run.
There are still people saying he should have ran.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. They were still hell bent on having him run. And by some other scheming that they did, they got him out and got Kamala Harris in. Thankfully, they lost. I am so grateful that they lost that election, because we would really be up the creek without a damn paddle if she had won. This is nothing more. This is the most sordid, scandalous agenda. It needs to come out. Every dot and tittle needs to come out. Not 50 years from now. It needs to come out now.
Yeah. We had someone in the chat, Nicole, who said that Reagan had Alzheimer's as well. There it is. President Ronald Reagan also had Alzheimer's during his term. Well, first of all, his Alzheimer's was not actually diagnosed until I think it was 5 years after he left office. But what do you think on that, Nicole? That comparison? Is there anything?
I think Ronald Reagan, I know Ronald Reagan did have Alzheimer's. I don't know if he was diagnosed during his term, but Alzheimer's and dementia are progressive diseases, right?
Exactly.
So you can be diagnosed with early stages and live, 5, 6, 8, 10 years still in that early stage. And for some people, it progresses very quickly. And for some people who have the ability to have top-notch care, lots of communication, people who kind of care about them and love them up, you can last 27 years, like my dad did, living with Alzheimer's and dementia. It really just depends on where they were in the course of the illness. The one thing that I can tell you, and Shelley can say this too, clinically, when you start seeing them having a hard time keeping themselves upright, falling over for no reason. And that's one of the reasons why we ask people, how many times have you fallen in the last year? It's not because we think you're clumsy, but it may be something cognitive that is causing an issue for you. So he may have been diagnosed. I've never heard that during his term. But if he was, I would say the big difference is their staging, where they were during the course of that illness.
Right.
Joe Biden is absolutely struggling and was struggling all 4 of his years. There's
and
no
I want to
doubt
say
about
this to President Reagan in his defense, if you will. It was like you said, it was 5 years after when he was officially diagnosed. Not only that, he wrote a letter acknowledging his dementia, his Alzheimer's. He didn't try to deny it. He didn't try to pretend that he didn't have it. He didn't have people around him, jollying for power plays. Sure, he was already out of office, but he was gracious and humble enough, if you will, to even acknowledge to the American people that this is what has now beset him, and this is going to be the path for the rest of his life.
I think it was Nancy's book, The Longest Goodbye. And, I read it well before my dad was ill. And I thought it was so poignant. I mean, it makes you cry because she really loved him. Like she loved, as we say, she loved his dirty drawers, right? She loved her some him. So you see her heart, you see the hand of God on her life in the way that, because she too was an old person, taking care of him, providing for him, and making sure that he had dignity and respect in his life. Because a lot of people, when they get Alzheimer's, people slap them in the home and they come and see him on Christmas and Easter and keep it pushing. But it was very poignant to reread it while we were in the midst of caring for my father. And I saw myself in some of those same situations where you have to make some hard decisions. It's not easy. It is not easy to look someone you love in the face and they have no idea who you are. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yeah. So it's difficult. So I don't know how they managed to pull this off with Joe Biden, but they did. And the country paid for it dearly. Absolutely dearly. Paid for it.
And like you said, Nicole, when you compare the two, Biden was falling all over the place multiple times. Reagan defeated communism. Biden couldn't defeat a staircase. And we watched this over and over again. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. It's true. And again, when you compare, it's no comparison. It's no comparison. Biden could not even get a sentence out. Reagan in his final year delivered coherent speeches. He led the booming economy. He faced down the Soviets. I mean, there is no comparison whatsoever, just on the face of Biden over these last 4 years and Reagan's last 4 years. None. Zero.
When you think about what they're remembered for, Ronald Reagan, one of his greatest quotes is, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall." I remember as a little kid hearing that and was like, that's so completely awesome. And you think, Joe Biden, you ain't black unless you vote for me. That gives you a picture of what we're looking at. 2 wholly different type of people with 2 very different types of leadership style, without question.
That's right. Reagan was out in the open, think about it, and hunkered down in a damn bunker. Come on.
Right.
Like you said, no comparison.
And then let's look at the difference between the first ladies. Like you mentioned, Nicole. Yeah, you had Nancy Reagan shielding him, Ronald Reagan in his private years, post-presidency, and Jill just pushing him out more and more. Knowing that man was not prepared, but she was ready to pull the strings. It's terrible. She is diabolical. She's the real evil one. She is evil right there. That woman.
She's going to have to, in these later years with Biden, and the end stages of this disease are horrible. It's just heartbreaking. And I couldn't think of a better person for it to happen to. Because she really did rob him of some comfort in his life. It's difficult. It's difficult for them too. I mean, when you talk about the caregivers, it's difficult. Imagine the person who can't remember, their family, and people are constantly telling you, "Oh, I'm related to you." You're like, "I've never seen you before in my life." It's a horrible, horrible thing for both ends. But when you talk about the comparisons of first ladies, I'll never forget seeing Nancy Reagan. I think it was Reagan's first inauguration, and she wore that red dress with the one sleeve thing. And up until that point in my life, the only person I had ever seen successfully wear that kind of dress is Wilma Flintstone. And I was like, oh, she's doing the damn thing. She done brought the Wilma Flintstone out on him, right? And Jill Biden in her pantsuits.
Yeah.
They're just not.
No, I call them clown
like
suits. She looks like a clown when she dresses.
Oh, she's awful. And so, again, we just had to bring this to you guys because and I want you guys to take a look at this next clip. So again, we talked about how they were, the audio has exposed Joe Biden as just unfit. It's just no other way around it. He was unfit. We knew it was. They tried to hide the audio. Now it's out. This is Karine Jean-Pierre lying through her split tongue about this. Before we get into this, I want to acknowledge our super chatter. All right. We got Mark Slater with the $20 super chat. Says Linda Lee, a former mega Democrat donor, names the people actually running the Biden presidency behind the scenes. I can't recall the names. There are 3 people, not Hunter and Jill. Wow. We're going to look into that. Thank you so much, Mark, for your $20 super chat. Also, we have Democracy Dudes with the $10 super chat. Says, I just discovered you and your commentary is excellent. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We hope you join us and subscribe. Folks, please hit that like button. It really helps to get our video out to more and more people, in front of more and more people. And that's what we want to do here. But I want to take you back to when the Robert Hur interview came out and the White House did not want to release the audio. This is this lying wench, Karine Jean-Pierre, lying to us through their teeth. This is clip 3.
Just to speak to the Hur report really, really quickly. Special Counsel Hur is, as far as I remember, is obviously a Republican, a prosecutor. He's not a medical doctor. He's just not. It's not for him to speak to. It's just not. And you've heard from over the past couple of days since the report has been out, you've heard from legal experts from across the ideological spectrum, even former Attorney General, and he says, and they have come out to say that the stuff in this report that is capturing all of your attention right now is just wrong. It's flatly wrong. It is inappropriate. It is gratuitous. And so going to leave that there, and it is obviously up for a medical doctor to decide on that. But look, I have said the medical doctor, the president's doctor, is going to do a physical. He's going to, and he has always put forth in the last 2 years a detailed memo on the president's obviously medical physical. And so I'm just going to leave it there. I don't have anything else to add. Go ahead, Jared.
Wow. Shelley, what did you think? She's a liar. She's a liar.
Robert Hur is a prosecutor. And where was Joe Biden's doctor, since you said he was not a doctor? Where was he to get the truth from? Nowhere in sight. Robert Hur gave us the truth. That report was not gratuitous. He didn't do it just to hurt Biden or his administration. He was telling the truth, which is what prosecutors are supposed to do.
Exactly.
Thank you, Karine. We know you were just lying.
Well, if you listen to the words that she said, where she said that, they found it distasteful and disrespectful, but at no point did she say he didn't make his point. Do you know what I mean? So she has this thing like most Democrats where she plays with words. And we also know, all of us in the United States, from the president on down to, the drug addict on the street, we all have HIPAA privacy laws. So the presidential physician is only going to release what his team says is okay to release. Now, some presidents don't care. They're just wide open. Like Trump, he doesn't care that people know that he got high cholesterol. He's like, oh, well, I eat a lot of shrimp. I'm from Florida. What do you want from me? Right? But when you have a very serious illness, it may be in the national best interest, at least if you're a Democrat and your president has dementia, to keep that hidden from the American public. That physician is under no obligation to release that to the public without his patient's consent. So, it's much to do about nothing from their standpoint, but from the American people's standpoint, it seems like they're hiding something. When she started stammering like she did, Shelley had a good impression of her. When she started doing that with that binder full of information, she was lying right through her teeth. Right through her teeth.
Yes, she was lying. Of course, yes, she was lying. And she reminds me of Saddam Hussein's press puppet. Baghdad Bob, I think his name was. Remember him, Baghdad Bob? That's who she is. She's Baghdad Bob with a mop on her head. I mean, this woman is awful. And the thing about it is, it was like, with Robert Hur doing the interview, and at least some in the press were asking about this interview. It was clear that we were seeing that President Biden was not all there. He was in the cognitive decline, and they wouldn't release it because they knew that if the audio was released, you can continue to lie and try to change the subject and things like that without hearing it with just a transcript. But the audio would really have shown that he is not well.
Exactly. It's one thing to read something, which is you should read things for yourself. And if you can hear the transcript or hear the audio, that also gives you a different, because you can hear the intonations and you can hear the voice changes that you can't get with just reading something. So they went on attack for this man's reputation, Robert Hur, when all he was doing was his job, if you will. It didn't make a difference if he was a Republican or not, but they made it the political part and said that he was after, it was a gratuitous attack, really, when all he was doing was saying, no, this is what really had, what came out. Not only that, he didn't even go further. He declined to prosecute. So right there was the clue that it was not gratuitous, because he said this basically, this is a sad old man with some cognitive degeneracy now. It doesn't even make a point to make a difference to prosecute him. He's not going to be able to remember anything to even get, quote unquote, the truth out of him.
Right. He could not successfully participate in his own defense because, again, he's highly suggestible, incredibly suggestible. When you think about Joe Biden's presidency and the amount of lobbyists turned politicians that filled his White House, especially his chief of staff, that Ron Klain, these are people who are so deep, so far leftist. They were seeding this man's brain with foolishness. They were doing that. So it's not a surprise to me that, Joe Biden doesn't know half of the stuff that he did. And the other half is probably a foggy memory. It's just unfortunate that the people who America trusted to tell us the truth, the American media, circled the wagons because of their political party affiliation. And that's the problem that we have. Old men get dementia. We've had plenty of old men presidents, right?
Right.
However, the American media in this particular instance sided with keeping the secret, telling the lie, and then absolutely destroying anybody who tried to tell the truth. That's where America should be mad. America should be mad at our own media. They should be mad at every single journalist who said, oh, you guys are imagining that's a far right talking point. No, we all witnessed him trip up the steps repeatedly. You know what I mean? Fall off his bike. I've never seen somebody so happy to have an ice cream. And I know a lot of small children. You know what I mean? Like he was on a whole nother planet and happy in that planet. But the media sold this story. They fed us this lie. And if you dare say that you didn't believe it, they came after you like you were some kind of criminal.
Right. And that's the thing, too. They not only tried to cover it up, but then they also tried to shame and discredit anyone who had evidence or who was trying to call this out. Like you mentioned about how they did to Robert Hur. These people are evil. They really are. We have a super chatter here. Thank you so much. All right, Jerry Early. Thank you with the $5 super chat. Says, thank you, ladies. Listening from the Big Island, Hawaii. Very hard to listen to that press secretary. Yuck. All right. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Well, we got something else that may be hard for you to listen to because we got to expose these people for the lying grifters that they are. Because Corinne Jean-Pierre, she was on The View just last month, I believe, still pushing these lies. Now, of course, this was before the audio, Robert Hur audio interview came out, but she was just on there. And now we have this View segment of them still trying to cover up for Biden. This is clip 4. Take a look.
We spoke with more than 200 people, almost all of whom were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. Knowing then what I know now, I look back at my coverage during the Biden years, and I did cover some of these issues, but not enough. I look back on it with humility. Starting in around 2019, 2020, there were two Bidens. There was a Biden that was perfectly workable, serviceable, seemed fine, and then there was a non-functioning one that couldn't come up with names of top aides, that would lose his train of thought to an alarming degree.
Well, the Democrats do not want to revisit the election. Take a look at that.
Did you really not have any idea that he was not fit to serve a second term?
Casey, we're looking forward. We have the largest Medicaid cut in front of us. We have the whole federal government
You're facing all
at
of this
risk.
because you lost a presidential election. And
Look,
is that not Joe Biden's responsibility for deciding to run again?
We're looking forward.
That's it?
That's it.
What I can say is that we're not looking backward. We're going to continue to look forward because at this moment, we've got real problems that need to be addressed on behalf of the American people.
Are they beating the dead horse or what? Will avoiding the issue make people lose more trust in the Democrats and the media?
I definitely spoke out at our table that after the debate that President Biden should step down, but that if he ran, I would still vote for him. I voted for him the first time. I voted for Vice President Harris the second time. But I do think one thing that really irks me on the left, and I don't really have a lot of faith in the right, so you tend to criticize the people that you line up more, that you care more about, and that would be the Democrats for me. People lost trust in them because the voters were saying there was a concern. There were people across the board saying they had a concern. And the Democrats said, no, over here, look over here. They told the voters what to care about, and they did not listen when the voters said they cared. So these stories come out aren't about beating a dead horse. It's saying if they could have a fair conversation that we heard you, we saw it as they saw it, they'd be gaining some of the voters back to say, okay, we're not going to keep saying that.
You agree with that?
No, I don't. I think that I want to move on from why the Democratic Party lost, and I want to hear from the Democratic Party about how we are going to take our country back and how what they are going to do to combat fascism and what they're going to do to stop the Medicaid cuts that are going on, to stop giving tax cuts to billionaires, to stop taking federal workers' pensions away, to stop taking federal jobs away, to stop taking education away, to stop attacking our institutions, to stopping, why is this Trump administration stopping medical research?
Wow. So we know why she wants to move on, because this would expose them too. Absolutely. For being the little puppets that they were throughout the last 4 years or so. Shirley, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I still want to know how she bought her damn house in Baltimore City on that, poverty level loan that she got. I still want to know that. Okay, inquiring minds want to know. That's number one. Sunny, no, she doesn't want. She wants to move on because she's still embarrassed. She still has not taken the responsibility, if you will, for her side. That why they lost. She still wants to blame the Republicans. She still wants to call Donald Trump and his supporters fascists. That didn't win you the election, sweetheart, and it's not going to win you anything, quote unquote, going forward. You're not going to take the country back to make it into the fascist regime that the Democratic Party will do and will tear it down. You're not going to do that. We're not going to allow you to do that. I'm not going to allow you to do that, Sonny. No. You're not going to do it. Take all of those lies. We should have distrust in our institutions, in the media. Certainly, there should be a more distrust in the Democratic Party than it already is. I want it to be almost total distrust from you all. I want the Democratic Party to fail. I really do. That's what I want to see. That's what I want. That's what I want. And I still want to know in all of this, when we get through all of that, I still want to see the documents that you signed to get your house in Baltimore City.
Yeah, there's so much that she's got going on that I want to see. And you know, the word Medicaid shouldn't come out of her mouth with her husband facing them fraud charges under any circumstances. But when they talk, and this is a whole other topic, probably we'll get to next week or maybe the week after. When you talk about them cutting Medicaid, they're not cutting Medicaid, they're putting the illegal people off. Right. And if you call that a cut, you know, potato, but they should not be getting free health care from the American taxpayer. And oh, by the way, Kat Rom asked or said in the chat, Medicaid recipients get a job. Well, that's what they're going to have to do. And they're going to have cost sharing. They're going to have to pay something toward their health care. And it's going to be a new day. And it's a long time coming. William Jefferson Clinton, Bill Clinton tried to clean this up a long time ago. This has been a long time coming. And I 100% agree that illegals should not be getting any medical care sponsored by the U.S. taxpayer. That's not what we should be doing with our money. But Sonny should keep her mouth shut. Anytime the word Medicare comes up, she should cover up her mouth. Somebody should cut to commercial, something. Because I understand that court case is not looking good for the home team. It is not looking good for the home team.
Yeah. And again, she's just going off and saying talking points from the Democrat, like you mentioned. Yeah, you know, right? It's not true what she's saying about Medicaid. RFK Jr. had a great exchange at a hearing at Congress where he laid out the actual numbers of why they're taking people off Medicaid. And it's all because, like you mentioned, Nicole, it's illegals. It's people who were defrauding the system, illegals, and then people who were not working, not doing the work requirement that they have for it. So, you know, again, but this is what they do. Sonny Holston could watch the left set the country on fire and still find a way to blame the smoke on conservatives. Okay. She doesn't analyze
somebody's butt. That's who she is. She'd roast a marshmallow on a burning Republican. She has no part whatsoever. She's throwing
another match in. She would throw another match in. Yeah. But you're right, KJ and Nicole. Bill Clinton signed the Welfare to Work bill. It was applauded. It was a move in the right direction. First of all, frankly, I think Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, should be cut more. Not just with the illegals, but again, the people who are defrauding the system. There are many more millions or billions of dollars in fraud that I know we could find and make that system more efficient, if you will, and get the needs to the right people, the people that actually need it. And as far as Medicare is concerned, the people who actually paid into it who need those funds. Sonny is full of shit. Okay, that's what she is. She's full of it. All these things we should distrust. We should have a distrust for our institutions, the media, the government. Look at all the lies they've been giving us, and that's only in the last 10 to 12 years.
Right, I agree. Right. I mean, at some point, this social security net that we have has to stop being a net where people get trapped and they stay there forever and become more like a trampoline where they can hit the bottom and bounce right back up and do some stuff with their life. But we can't get to that point if we just give them enough to survive and say, okay, well, as long as you make less than 200% of the poverty level, we're going to pay for your insurance and you don't have to kick in. We're going to give you food and you can eat whatever the hell you want to. You can go out and buy Delmonico steaks with your food stamps if you so choose. All of these things have to change. Getting people back to work. The Bible says it. Everybody has to work. Man has to have some sense of purpose. And we're not doing people any good by allowing them to lay around and pay $20 for rent with free food and free healthcare. It's not forcing them to do better for themselves. We can't continue to at this pace, even with our own people. Now, all the illegals should be put off right off the top. I mean, I'm 100% on that. But when we talk about America's promise, making sure our elderly and infirmed and sick children are taken care of, I don't think you have a problem with any American on that. But if you're a 32-year-old man who hasn't worked in 6 years, I don't want to take care of you. Get yourself a job. Stand on your feet. Take your place.
If I go to the store again, I think I might scream. If I see an able-bodied, particularly a man, let alone a woman, able-bodied people pull out the independence cards, and then they got in their wallet, they got credit cards, and they pulling this out, and then they separating the non-perishable from the perishables, and I'm standing in there with my damn card, and I'm like, okay, I gotta pull out my damn money. Okay, who I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing it. Not only that, they go from the grocery store. They shopping in Wegmans where I shop with the independence card. Now, Brent, I'm not saying Wegmans should take whatever the money's gonna come from, right? I get it, right? But I'm upset that they can pull out a damn independence card and pay for half of their damn groceries and so I'm paying for their groceries and mine.
Yeah. I mean, but let's talk about it. So again, as you guys mentioned, most of this money, most of the Medicaid cuts are going towards getting illegals off of the Medicaid rolls, which was something that the Biden administration started. They had open borders for the last 4 years or so. People flooded in. They gave them all these social services. And so now President Trump and the Republicans have to clean it up. According to the House Budget Committee, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that the Biden-Harris administration's open border agenda cost federal and state taxpayers more than $16.2 billion. That's with a B, to provide Medicaid-funded emergency services to illegal aliens during the first 3 years of the administration. This is a staggering increase of 124%. Compared to the same period under the Trump administration when he was first in office. So again, you have 1.4 illegal immigrants on Medicaid they're going to cut, 4.8 able-bodied adults choosing not to work they're going to cut, 1.2 million who are ineligible to receive Medicaid but are getting it that they're going to cut. And so those people shouldn't be on Medicaid anyway. But I want to ask you two something. So the Republican caucus is having an issue with this. So inside the Republican caucus, there are a bunch of Republicans who believe that cutting spending in any way, shape, or form is detrimental to Republican electoral chances. The American people don't want it. Polling basically shows this on a grand scale. Americans will say that they want the cuts. But when you ask them which services they would like to cut, they start to scratch their head and really have no idea what the answer could be to that question. So I ask you ladies, what should be or what is the proper role of government in our lives? Nicole, what do you think there?
The proper role of government should be small and meaningless. Let's just do that. But our government has grown so big and so dependent on it itself, but it doesn't produce anything. It would be different if our elected officials actually produced something that made money, not took our money and called it their money. I would be probably on the fence about that. Most Americans don't understand that during the scamdemic, people who made 200 and 300 times the poverty level were suddenly eligible for Medicaid and food stamps and housing assistance just because they, quote unquote, weren't working. Now, some of them were still collecting a check, but Americans are not dumb. They like a good grift too. There are a lot of people who are like working and still collecting unemployment, kind of shading. So they don't want to out themselves. However, I keep saying this is a Band-Aid moment for our nation. If we're going to right the ship, this is the moment. I get midterms are coming. I get that these people don't want to lose their seats, but I'd rather you lose your seat than this country keep going down that wrong path. And that's what they're hearing from conservatives. It doesn't matter to me if you don't get reelected to Congress. That's not important. What's important is that we get our money right, that we get our government back to small government, not more and more government. More and more government costs more and more tax dollars. Again, they don't have a way of funding themselves other than us, other than the taxpayer. So I need less of them. And those who are elected, I need your eyes on the prize. Save the country, and then you can go back home to your day job. You don't have to necessarily be a congressman if you're not willing to fight for what's important.
Yeah. And so, Shelley, so what do you say then to people who push back and say, well, there are single moms, there are people barely making check to check, and they have children, and they cannot afford to be off of Medicaid, and they need Medicaid health care. Because, here in Maryland, for instance, if you have a child, your child is guaranteed health benefits.
Yep. I asked them.
Is that a right?
Is what right? Say that again.
Is that a right? I mean, this is all part of Medicaid. If you have a child here in Maryland and you cannot afford to cover if you don't have a job that offers medical insurance, or if you are unable to pay for their medical hospital care and things like that, checkups, all that, you get Medicaid. That pays it for you up until 18 years of age.
When the circus is in town, when you see the acrobats going from, swinging from the limbs, they have a safety net, right? That safety net is there for a purpose. It doesn't stay up when the circus is gone. That safety net is gone too. So at some point, the safety net has to go, and you have to be able to stand on the cold ground on your own 2 feet. All right. Safety net is only there for a limited time. That's number one. Number two, the government, I like to say, it was never intended to be our cradle to grave, paternal, our father. It was not. The American, or the capitalist, if you will, the American lifestyle. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go beyond that. The God-breathed person, the person who has the image of God in him or her, which we do, right? You were made and created to care for yourself, to care for your family, to go out and plow the land, to work with your hands, to have a skill, to build whatever it is you were going to build. Sell those things in the open market, if you will. If you cannot provide for your family, your children, then you should not be having them. Granted, I know many of them are already here. What are we going to do? There's a safety net purpose, but it should not be you and me and Nicole being everybody else's safety net, particularly to the detriment of our own family. And that's not for the government to decide. It is not for the government to mandate that you or I give anything to anyone, even for a good, healthy purpose. If I don't want to give my money or my wares to whomever, that's my choice. It is not for the government to mandate that I do. It is not for the government to mandate from my labor, it's going to take X amount of money and distribute it how the government decides. No, that's not. It's for me to, if I choose to help my neighbor or to help my family member, that's for us to choose. The government is not and should not be this subsuming, consuming entity in our lives. That's not what it's for. When the government does that, then we really are not free beings. We're not to act on our own, our own free will, in our own interest and in the interest of the people that we love. That's not what we're doing. It's mandated. And this is one reason why people don't want to give, because I've heard many people say, well, the government already takes it from me. Why I got to give you too? I ain't gonna lie. When I see the homeless people when I'm driving, I tell them to go to the nearest shelter because my taxpayer dollars have already paid for that.
Well, the original expenditures of the federal government at the beginning were absolutely minimal. It stayed that way except for times of war, like the Civil War and all through the end of World War I. Then government spending began to grow. With FDR, it exploded all out of proportion. And now we have roughly $7 trillion being spent every single year. So a traditional classical conservative might say we need to cut massive reams of the government spending by pushing it all back down to the states. And that's what President Trump is starting to do. He's saying that they're going to cut this Medicaid and then push it to the states. If the states want to pay for all this extra stuff, then they have to do it. But see, the states are getting upset about that. They want the government, the federal government, to pay all this stuff because these Democrat states know that they're paying all these things, pushing it on the federal government, when in reality, they know that we really can't afford to pay all this stuff. Is that
it's all taxpayers' money? Number
exactly.
One. Right. And look, when the government tells you takes from you and then tells you, oh, we're going to distribute it, we're not free. What choice do we have? There are many places that I would want to say, I want to designate my money to go here. We can't even do that, KJ, Nicole. We can't even do that. It goes into whatever, all these big pots, these big, allocations. We can't even get a fact sheet of where our money goes and say, no, well, if you're going to take it, how about I get to allocate where it goes? Maybe I might support program X versus sending my money to Planned Parenthood or wherever else. But we don't even get to do that. When we were starting to get taxed in 1913, that was a steady decline. And lastly, for all of these trillions of dollars of debt, how is it that nobody seems to want to come off or is able to come off? More and more people need to come on. Every year, they got to fund more people. The debt grows bigger. Well, that's not what the programs are for. Then something's not working because we're not getting a good return on our investment.
Not at all.
Right.
We got programs to fix other programs that was created to fix another program. Again, because they don't produce anything and they're living off of taxpayer dollars that they step on first because they make sure they get a nice raise every now and again, right? The way that they allocate our money benefits them. It doesn't benefit the American people. When you look at how many programs, just kind of here in our state, here in Maryland, when you look at the programs that we fund that don't really do anything, that actually creates more problems than it does good, then you say, well, why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it because this is the way we've always done it. And why would we want to change? Because if we take something off, then that means we're losing. That's the progressive mindset. Well, the conservative mindset says, well, if we're not using it, let's get rid of it. That's, every little penny counts, especially when you're not the one making the money. It's our money. I would love to go to a flat tax system. I would love for them to say, you can support whatever charity you do, because I do now. Like, I'm a big Heritage member. I love Heritage Foundation. I think it does good work. So I support it with my own personal Nicole Bennett dollars, but I would like to have my money back from the federal government so I can really show them how much I appreciate them. America First Policy Institute, all the places that I give what I call my mad money to, I would love to give them the money that I got to pay to the federal government. Would love to give that to them because I know they would do tremendous works in the community. But they take that opportunity away from us by them deciding what's important to the American people. Again, all they want to do is be reelected. And I hate to say that. And this is something that happens on both sides of the aisle. Absolutely. Being reelected and fundraising becomes the priority and not the love and care of the American culture or the American people. And it's a sad
Folks,
state.
We have breaking news. Multiple people injured after a Mexican Navy tall ship slams into the Brooklyn Bridge in a horrifying scene. Just happened maybe about 15 minutes ago. Toppling its huge mass into the deck in a horrifying scene. A search and rescue operation was underway to pull people out.
What?
Do we have, is that it?
Yeah, this is the video.
Wow. So
is anyone hurt? Yeah,
it's a search and rescue operation is underway to pull people out of the water after one of the towering 147-foot masts on the Cuauhtémoc which has the crew of 277 collided with the bridge's road deck just before 9 p.m. This is according to the New York Post.
I'm looking at that again. I hope people are rescued, but I'm looking at that this little clip. I'm just seeing it like first time, like we all are.
Mm-hmm.
Those damn masts already look taller. Why would they allow that to go through the damn the river?
They didn't do the math. Nobody carried the one. Because clearly they were not going to clear that bridge. Not even the first mast did not clear the bridge.
I mean, there's supposed to be measurements and height limits and things like that. That didn't even look like it was going to make it, period.
Mm-hmm.
3 people are in critical condition with about a dozen others seriously injured, sources said. So we'll keep everyone in our prayers.
Because the mast fell while they were on the boat?
I guess.
It looked like the bridge was not affected at all, thankfully.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry for the people who lost their lives, but the traffic on that bridge is something else. It is incredible traffic back and forth across the bridge. I'm so very grateful that the bridge was not damaged and none of the cars were tossed into the river. So
right, absolutely. Yeah. So we know this is what we see so far. I mean, even though there was no visible damage, there still could have been structural damage.
Yeah.
So we don't know really. So yeah, folks, please keep them in your prayers. We want to acknowledge our super chatters. We have several over here, folks. We are trying to get to 170,000 subs tonight. We are 50 subs away. Please hit that like button and subscribe. All right, we got Chris Jones with a $10 super chat. Says Sunny is basically a liberal white woman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Chris Jones with the $5 super chat.
Thank you, Chris.
Says Shelly, my love. Oh, tell it to everyone. You speak through all of us. Yes, indeed. Jay Hunter Lee with the $5 super chat says, ooh, wee, y'all cooking. I'm still waiting on y'all to come to Tampa. God damn it. I know. We need to go to Tampa.
We should take the summer on the road. Let's go.
Yes, I would love it. Maybe in August. Mm-hmm. All right. Mark Slater with the $20 super chat says Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, and Bob Bauer, Anita's husbands, are the 3 who ran the Biden administration behind the scenes. Obama took orders from them. They were also in immediate control of the auto pen, as per Lindy Lee. Wow. These people need to be brought in for subpoena by Congress. They do. They need to be put under oath and asked about the things that they said, did, and had Biden do. That's what needs to happen. Dallas Delight with the $2 super chat says, I hope this wasn't Tijuana border jumper too soon. Oh,
hi, Dallas.
Dallas is terrible. All right. Yes. So we knew we're going to continue to follow that story, folks, and bring you all the latest in that Brooklyn Bridge disaster accident there. But moving right along, I want to move on to Kash Patel. So FBI Director Kash Patel dropped some breaking news in a clip from a Sunday morning Futures interview to be aired on tomorrow on Fox News, but they played a clip of it. It actually came out yesterday morning. Take a look here. This is clip 1.
Here at the airport, I'm about to board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let the government of El Salvador know that we are going to keep fighting to bring Abrego Garcia.
He said he was not able to make that happen. Said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. Trump administration is lying about Abrego Garcia.
This is why independent media is so important. Thanks to people like you, patriots who love America and stand for truth, we're making a difference. Together, we've turned them off, called them out for their lies and propaganda, and held them accountable for their disdain for God-fearing, freedom-loving Americans like us. But we can't stop here. It's time to take action with our dollars. Let's make 2025 the year we double down on our commitment to values-driven choices. Vote with your dollars. Support Made in America. Back companies that honor our families, faith, and country. We found an exciting way to make this switch, and we want you to join us. Check out www.popandswitch.com and click Yes, I Want to Make the Switch. It's that easy. It's time to walk away from corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard that undermine our principles. Let's invest in America. Let's support businesses that share our love for this country. You don't have to take on everything at once, but you can start here. Join us in making this one small yet powerful step. Visit www.popandswitch.com. Click the link and schedule a call with our team to learn how you can make the switch. Together, we can create real change.
Look, the FBI is 38,000 when we're fully manned, which we're not. In the National Capital Region, in the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., there were 11,000 FBI employees. That's like a third of the workforce. A third of the crime doesn't happen here. So we're taking 1,500 of those folks and moving them out. Every state's getting a plus up. And I think when we do things like that, we inspire folks in America to become intel analysts and agents and say, we want to go work at the FBI because we want to go fight violent crime and we want to get sent out into the country to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing in the next 3, 6, 9 months. We're going to do that hard. And, you know, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but I'm going to announce it on your show anyway. This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce, and we want the workforce.
You just gave up a big nugget.
We want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
All right. Well, we voted for change makers, and they are making change. I want to acknowledge our super chatters before we get into this, ladies. All right. We have a super chat from Mark Slater with the $20 super chat. Oh, my gosh. Thank you, Mark. Says, sidebar, anyone else feel like Shelly is yelling specifically at them when she gets pumped up?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, well, we get her in person, so it's a whole different thing. In person.
Being polite with the videos. She's being super polite.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Shelly, what do you think about that? They're moving out of the Hoover building in DC. What impact do you think that's going to have on the agency?
Okay, I think a couple of things. Either people are going to resign, retire, or they're going to get their butt to go where the work actually is. Who said it was in this cushy $1 million building in DC and that all you have to do is sit behind a desk? I mean, there are places and there are jobs that require, whatever, clerks or whatever the titles are. But if you're an FBI agent, you need to go where the damn crime is being committed. And like you said, it's not all in DC. It certainly is. It's not. Get out there, earn your keep, do what you're supposed to do, and have at it. If you want to resign, fine. If you're going to retire, go for it. But the work is across the country, not all in DC.
Agree.
Yeah.
As Martin would say, as my favorite show, Martin would say, get to stepping.
Yes. Nicole, what are your thoughts on the move?
I absolutely agree. I mean, you can't be the nation's or the world's top law enforcement agency when you're sitting in the Hoover building hoping that your desk isn't the one that's bugged, right? So you have to send your troops where the war is. And Kash is doing something really great here. And I think the states and localities where crime is rampant, getting the extra boost is going to help tremendously. And this is a good thing for the culture. Do they need a new building? Absolutely. They need a new building. And while that building is being built, I think Kash is doing the right thing. The people who don't want to work hard, this is a great time for you to step away, collect your retirement and go do whatever it is you want to do. Do Little League or whatever else. But for young people who are interested in becoming an FBI agent, this sets the tone. You're not going to be a desk jockey. You're going to be out there in the field doing what we want you to do. And I think Kash is doing a tremendous job. He said he was going to do this. Promises made, promises kept. I am looking forward to seeing crime rates drop in high crime areas because the FBI quite literally boots on the ground. Quite
right. Well, what did he mean by saying that it's been dangerous for them to be in the Hoover building? Did you guys?
Oh, I get. What he means is that when you are removed, if you will, from, like you said, in the field, and you only behind a desk, you only see this. You don't have the sense of really what's going on. You don't have the sense of the community, the people, getting to know who the players are and the actors. You don't. You only see this. It's basically like a tunnel vision. Then you get comfortable. You get cushy. You lose your skills, if you will. If you don't use them, you lose them, as they say. So then they carry in firearms and other credentials, but you're not putting them to use. You're only in this little bubble. Same thing with the media. It can happen to anybody. It can happen in any profession. When you are removed from the day-to-day goings on for whatever reason, then you become comfortable in your little nest, in your little bubble, your own, whatever your little four corners are. The Mormons send out people, those young people, when you see them out there riding their bikes, they send them out doing their missionary work because they all have to need that field experience. They don't send them they get ordained and go right to whatever they call their priesthood, whatever. No, they got to go out and pave the pavement, if you will, put some sweat and tears into the work so that they can have an understanding from the bottom up, not just the top down.
In addition to that, the Hoover building has long been rumored to be bugged in many, 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 many places by many, 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 many people. So the new FBI building was going to be built here in Maryland. I don't know if they're going to do it in Maryland, if they're going to do it in Virginia now, what's going to happen with that. But they absolutely need a new building, a building that's much more secure. But do they need a building for, as he was saying, 30% of the workforce? No, they need to get out there in the field, and they have field offices across the nation. There's no reason for them to be all huddled up in Washington, D.C., waiting for something to pop and then having to be transported to the places. If New York City is a hotbed of crime, that we know that it is, why do they have to wait for agents from D.C. to travel to New York to help when we can just have agents in New York, boots on the ground? So Kash is doing a wonderful job. I think he's sending the right message. I think we're going to see a lot more federal agencies sending the same message, saying that, okay, we don't need that, especially policing agencies. We don't need to have everybody sitting around in D.C., going to lunch at Abbott's and hanging around. We need boots on the ground. And I think that is a very good first shot across the bow for all of these three-letter agencies. Only what you need, not extra.
Absolutely. And that's the way to run government. That is the way. So I can't wait to see what they do next. And it was nice that he let out that little tidbit there about what he plans to do. The full interview is scheduled to air on tomorrow. So, of course, we will bring you all the latest. That does it for us tonight, folks. Please continue to hit that like button and subscribe. We are so close to hitting 170,000 subs. We need every sub. If you can share this broadcast, post it on your social media, send it in a DM to somebody and ask them to subscribe. Definitely. But again, hit that like button. That does get this broadcast out to more and more people, in front of more and more people, so they can join us. All right. Final thoughts here, ladies. Nicole, what do you want to leave the audience as we go into our Sunday?
Well, I want to leave it with a congratulations to our brothers over at Just the Guys for getting that 1K subscribers. I am so proud of them.
Yes.
A great show. YouTube, you got 1,000,001 things to watch. I too am mesmerized by the doorbell situation. People just ringing people's doorbells for random reasons. I like watching that. But when you want intelligent conversation, Metro Conservative Media has a myriad of shows to give you that. Just the Guys is special and dear to me because I love those men, and the way their minds work is sometimes polar opposite of the way us ladies think, but eventually we get to the same spot. It's the journey that's exciting. So if you don't already watch Just the Guys, if you're not a subscriber, hop on over there and subscribe. These guys need that push to keep them motivated. Let's go, Just the Guys.
Absolutely. And we just got another super chat. Thank you all so much. Dallas with the $2 super chat says, showing some love to Yana, who's in Russian jail. Oh, no, Yana, she has just been busy. Hopefully she'll be able to stop in on during the summer. But thank you so much. All right, Mark Slater, thank you with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. All right, Shelly, any final thoughts for the audience?
Yes, I'm going to keep them hanging on, okay? I can't tell you right now. I'll know tomorrow, but something that I'm starting to learn and do, and I'm going to talk about it once I see how this goes tomorrow. I'll talk about it either on Monday or Wednesday.
Ooh, all right, everybody, get ready and tune in, because generally Shelly's announcements are pretty big. So yeah, definitely tune in.
I'm excited, so I'm hoping everything goes, as planned. But I'm excited. This is something else I'm learning, and I'm excited about it. I will tell you all about it next week if everything goes as planned tomorrow.
All right, and if I'll say this, it probably has something to do with pew 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 pew. So we'll see.
Ancient Chinese secret, huh?
All right, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow on Christian Conservative. Definitely check me out 9 p.m. at KJ Christian Conservative every Sunday at 9 p.m., giving you a biblical conservative on the trending news and hot topics. So please join me tomorrow. Again, then we will be back on Monday night for our Poppin' Politics Live. You don't want to miss us. And Tuesday is the All-American Talk Show. So that is another spin on conservative talk at All-American Talk right here on YouTube. You do not want to miss us. All right. So again, this is us signing out. Hope you guys had a wonderful Saturday and you have an even better Sunday. Wishing you warm days and starry nights. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.